What is up, guys? Zach in here, and in today's video we're going to talk about, and I'm actually going to show you how you can look over my shoulder and pull the top 7 best niche lists in wholesaling real estate. Now, you might be like, Zach, like, where are you? You're not in your studio. What's going on? So I am actually in Italy. So we're in, I don't know if this is too bright, but we're over in is this thing showing on here? Let's see. I'm in Lake Como, so it's too bright for the thing, but I'm in Lake Como, so I'm in Italy. I'm literally in a different entire country, and I want to show you from basically how you can be anywhere in the world and pull niche lists on your computer, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So we're gonna go out here and pull these lists. Basically, guys, just first and foremost, we're the best lists to be pulling, again, government lists. And we have a million videos on how to pull government lists. But we're talking about specific niched out lists that we can push hard. When we're talking about like these paid lists or from a software and like that, this is specifically what we're talking about. We're talking about niche lists on a wider scale. Because I get to tell you code violations, probate, like the regular ones, but like why don't we start doing these niche lists on a scale inside of software that no one's using? The reason why it's not like a paid list, like I say, I say paid list like go to Deal Machine or this website to go pull it. I'll be honest, like you go to dmzag.com, you pull the vacant list like anyone says, you're going to get bad results because that's what everyone does. What you should do instead is go in the software, but pull lists in the software that nobody else is pulling. I have specific secret filters in there for you guys to be using, and specific things, and probably things in the software you don't know how to use to become successful. So let's break this all down. Let's get into it and let's share this. And also what we're going to do is we're going to add in Matt here. Matt's going to help me out here, pulling the stuff here and sharing exactly how to pull the niche list, because
absolutely,
I want to pull the list, but I also want Matt to kind of explain the processes in these lists, because I kind of explain it the best way, but he knows them obviously better because, I mean, he works in it every single day. Yep. Me too, but a little differently. So what's up, Matt? We're excited to have you on here today.
Yeah, Zach, appreciate you taking some time out all the way from Italy, man. I know we were just talking about, I was there last year. I have my 7, 5, and 3-year-old out there, and man, the food in Italy alone, like half the reason.
This is my, look at this.
Look at that. Delicious.
This is a calzone. Some salami things, oh, dude, there's 3 pieces between everyone that, little crew that came, dude. And oh my God, I might start eating some right now. It was so good.
I wouldn't blame you, but yeah, man, appreciate you always having me on. Like, I love to be able to dig in, share the latest of what's working out there. Again, Matt Camp over here with Deal Machine, and everything we do, it's really, you talking through your knowledge, but then also looking, and we've had last year hit the milestone of over 10,000 deals done using Deal Machine. And we have hundreds of interviews on our YouTube channel of people breaking down deals they've done using this technology as well. So we've got a lot of data to look at, a lot to see what's working, what's not, and really come in and just help enable you guys and just share, like, yeah, we were originally known for, D for D and reverse D for D and direct mail and all that, but now really help show you that, hey, we've doubled down on data. We've doubled down on becoming a place to come in and use hundreds of unique data sources and filters that you don't get other places. And really, our goal is to, we unlocked kind of unlimited free skip tracing. We can talk about that. We unlocked property data. We unlocked demographic data. We unlocked AI and using that data. But today we're going to get really, really specific and actionable on, hey, here are those top 7 ways to go out there, pull a niche list, especially as a newbie, and get rolling right now, hit the ground running, and be as successful as possible with this stuff. So.
Exactly. And so, by the way, guys, if you're watching this, you might not see this video in the next week or next couple of days. Unfortunately, dmzag.com, it's unlimited skip tracing, which means you can click the lead and the phone numbers pop up. And like it's literally like you're used to paying 15 cents, it pops up. And the problem is when there's a phone number associated with a name and address, YouTube pops the video off. So this video, if you're watching this live, might get kicked off, and I'll just post it in freewholesaling.com if it does. Matt's seen this before. You can click, like, let's say 100 not code violations, but you can technically get the violation list. We'll talk about that today. You can click like 100 technically Deal Machine probates, and you pull 200 and you get 200 phone numbers that you can dial like that. Unfortunately, if you pop that on YouTube, sometimes they take it off or not. Some gurus like to report me. We won't talk about that. But it happens all the time. So unfortunately, if you don't see this video, it's because Deal Machine's too good sometimes, and they don't like it. So, it will be in the free course, FY, if it's not on there. But yeah, let's just break this down. We have 7 niche lists. We got some honorable mentions. We got a lot to talk about today. But specifically how you can pull this list and start going after it. I've talked about this for a while. The reason why we're breaking this down is we do have a massive challenge coming out in July, the 30-day wholesaling challenge. And in that challenge, I've gone on record and say we are coming out with a new marketing strategy. It's a new marketing channel. This has never been done before from us in a while. And so we basically came out with reverse drawing for dollars. No one ever really talked about it on a mass scale. No one ever talked about digital bandit signs. No one ever talked about ROS postcards or handwritten postcards. Me and Rick have invented marketing channels. Find me a guru that did that. And we have a new one, which we've been talking about. I think I told you about this. And you've seen how crazy it can be, Matt, right? Like this is can you confirm, Matt, that this marketing channel has never been seen in wholesaling?
Absolutely. Brand new, very, very
brand new. And for a large portion of people, it's going to be free. So it's going to be pretty cool. I don't want to spill the beans on it, but we are coming out with this. And the one thing on this method, which I have to tell you guys, is you need to be able to get lots of good leads the right way. And so that's another reason why we're doing this video. So let's kind of break this down and share the lists. We're excited.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So what I'll say too is for everybody that is on here that's watching this, whether you're watching the replay or watching the thing live, if you do follow along and you want to be able to pull these lists with us in real time, that dmzac.com, that's where you can go there and try that out. You'll be able to just, 7-day free trial. So everything we're showing off today is brand new and free for you to be able to try this stuff out. Everyone who actually signs up there today or watching this, we'll give it maybe a week in case it gets taken down. We'll go through and leave a comment on the video right now. And if you start that free trial today, as you're watching this video, you're going to be entered in a chance to actually win an entire year of Deal Machine free. So if you're watching this thing, if you're investing in yourself, you're getting better as a wholesaler, you're going out there and learning, we want to reward you action takers. So go out there, start your free trial to follow along with this stuff and pull it in real time alongside us, be able to, throw a comment on this video. And if you do those 2 things, we're going to have a giveaway here in about a week as well. And one of you guys are going to win a year Deal Machine. I mean, that's worth, nearly $1,000 in terms of what you're getting for that. So I'm
excited. Also, I do want to mention this. Not a lot of people know this, but Matt's actually a wholesaler too. He's not like your average guy talking about Deal Machine. I do want to comment this. We always talk about fake gurus on here, but Matt actually does wholesaling deals. And so he's not like this figurehead type guy that just sits around and talks about the software. He actually does wholesaling deals, right? St. Louis?
Yeah, I'm alongside you guys, man. So everything I show up.
Wholesaler. Don't look at him as a software. He's a wholesaler. All right. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah, I don't talk about it as much. I love talking, really dig into the data of what our customers are doing system wide. But as I show off my Deal Machine account, you'll see like active leads we're working. You'll see direct mail we're using. You'll see, kind of in progress. So yeah, we're practicing what we preach over here, man. So
Matt does more deals than the gurus. That's all I'm going to say. So let's break this all down and let's get into our top 7. First and foremost, we got to talk about some honorable mentions, right? And so the first one, let's kind of pop up Deal Machine here that we got to talk about, right? This is a very interesting list that you guys have kind of been developing. It is the probate list. And so that's the first one. It's not a top 7 because in my opinion, I don't know if Matt's mad at me at this, but I do think it's still in an experimental stage. I can't say it's 100% accurately perfect. It's there. It's definitely working its way up there, but I would call it experimental. I don't think you should go all in like this is the only list I should be doing, but add it in your marketing and it works, right? If you do enough of them and just in a market, it does work, but it is experimental. So let's talk about the probates first.
Yeah, and what I'll mention there too, I mean, like you said, I mean, in our business, we market to this list as well. It's something that is definitely worth adding to kind of your repertoire of being able to come out and reach out to, but don't make it exclusive in terms of the only thing that you're focused on today. As you see Deal Machine right here, Zach shared this screen here for me. what you're looking at is, I'm on the map tab right here, this top left corner. This is the desktop version of Deal Machine, right? And we also have a mobile app. So anything you do on desktop, anything you do on mobile, if we ever pull a list or add leads, you can do it on both. Just picture this squeezed down on a phone-sized screen to really get a good feel for what mobile is going to feel like doing this too. But as you look on the screen here, you've got a couple things I want to point out. Top bar is your filters bar. So, this is where you can go in, you can filter by big areas like zip code, city, county, or a very specific address. You can filter by quick filters, which we're going to get into here in a second, property type, pricing, bed bath, and then the more button is if you don't know exactly where to find a filter, click into more, and you can even search by it here because we've got, again, hundreds of data points, everything from mortgage and equity information, demographic and contact information, property, land, tax info, foreclosure, MLS history, all kinds of stuff to tap into here. So we're gonna have some fun today digging into all this stuff. But as you put on these different layers, as you put on these filters, you'll notice this right side is going to change. These are all the properties that you can browse and really quickly add from your queue right there. And then the bottom bar right here is going to show you in real time how many properties fit your exact criteria. So as we go through this here, you'll see properties, you'll see that kind of whittle down in real time. What I'll mention as well is, how to think about this to begin with is I really talk about like, hey, think about a geographic approach. So whether it's a city, county, or zip code, start with one big area and filter by that. Filter down by property type then. So that way you know that, okay, I've got a specific location, a specific property type, single family is what we're going to be focused on today. And then from there, you can really dig into these buckets of info, whether it be about the property or about the seller itself. So you'll see us kind of work through this in real time through each of these different lists. And really, again, the whole goal is to help you not pull the list is the same list as everybody else out there. Like, we want to help you find those hidden opportunities, help you pull lists that the average person is not doing, and help you really put in the work to keep getting better at this. So, Zach, do you have a zip code you want to throw at me, or do you see any in the comments that would be a good place to start?
Yeah, let's go in the comments here.
Put in a zip code, guys. Love to build your list in real time with you here.
So let's do Columbus, Georgia.
Okay, awesome. Here we go. Is 87102? Is that okay?
Yeah, just do 87102. That one.
87102. There we go. Perfect. So first one.
So let's talk about probates real quick. So the probate list, it's interesting on there, right? Because is it pulling the probate data? Does it have the deceased information? Does it not? Is it going off deceased records like some other things do? What's kind of the probates for Deal Machine specifically?
Yeah, so probably the best way to think about probates and really any data in Deal Machine, and where I can show you again, we started with the zip code and nail down property type into single family. So start there and you can see, hey, there's 4,015 properties that are single family homes in 87102. Now, probate you'll find under this quick filter right here. And when you scroll down, if you ever have a question on like, what is probate or what is this exact data point I'm pulling, we have these little question mark tooltips right here. Yeah. So you hover over that, you'll see here, hey, properties where an owner's passed away. This might include a recent change in title that indicated the title holder is deceased. They may or may not have officially entered probate. Like that's what we're talking about here. And then combine this with the sale date filter to find leads with recent activity. So that's kind of a next level suggestion is be able to, add that sale date filter to look at ones that have moved recently. But this is kind of pulling a big broad swath of things we put under probate. So. Yeah,
and your regular skip tracing shows if the person is deceased or not. And so I think it's basically kind of putting with that. And now obviously I've seen from Deal Machine, it's accurate, but sometimes it can be off, right? Like maybe it says that the person's deceased and they're not. Like it's never 100. I've never seen a software that's 100% when you're pulling pretty much every single property in the whole world. Right. Like it's pretty good. And for a high chance of accuracy, it works well. I had yesterday somebody on Rick's live stream was saying, "Oh, I pulled something and it wasn't 100% right on Deal Machine." And I'm like, what, do you want to cry about it? Like, I've never seen one thing that's 100% accurate. Right? I get people crying all the time, like, Deal Machine's skip tracing is not 100% accurate. I'm like, I wish it was. I've never found 100% accurate skip tracing, right? And so take the data as you will. Like, it's a tool. It's not going to be perfect. But find me another one that has better skip tracing and, like, for the price, like, you're never going to find it. And so, that's where I just come down to.
For sure. And what I'll tell you too is, in general, we're always looking to add, new data. We've got a large amount of different data we're pulling together. We're trying to make it really easy for you to take action on it. So this is a way to display that data and for you to be able to again, follow these directions, to be able to come up with these individual lists yourself. I'll say too, like, hey, some of the data is county data. The county, may be a little slow in terms of how they're organizing things, or, there's a lot of factors here at play of how this data is being represented. So our goal is to come in here and give you the most accurate picture possible throughout each different data source we're pulling in here. And the skip tracing thing is a great example. It's like we're always building tools to take that to the next level. One great example of that is for skip tracing, we recently built in our private investigator tool. And what that is you can actually go in and, based on a name, if we don't have contact info with that name, you can actually hit the PI tool, which, I won't show off because I want to share, numbers this right here. But if you hit that PI tool inside Deal Machine, it'll actually give you every single person in the US with that exact name. And that way you can come in and say, oh, hey, this name and this area code fits. This looks likely the person that I'm trying to get a hold of. So we're always, even when there's an inaccuracy in some kind of data, we're always looking for those additional ways to get that edge, to dig a layer deeper, and to give you technology to help you reach out in a way that other people will stop at those barriers. And now you've got tech to help you, bust through those barriers. So, that, Zach, hopefully that helps, man. But
that helps a lot. So probates, man, like, guys, just pull it. That's what I'm telling everyone here. Just pull it. Just try it. I'm telling you, it's pretty gangster that they have this now. But remember what they do. They just find, hey, this person's most likely deceased. And I believe on the probates for Deal Machine, it's when the title changes or it just shows deceased, which means probate. I'm not going to dig into this, with the product team. They're going to be mad at me. But, like, it's not officially it's probate when it goes into probate. It's more like it's probably going to go into probate. It's basically, you got to make it seem sexy, but basically that it's the closest thing to an automated probate list you can do, right? Mm-hmm. And we've been I have private conversations where I talk to the founders of Deal Machine, and I'm like, hey, can you just pull all the probates? Not like this, but like just do it the way that I do it. And they scratch their head. They're like, oh, that's going to cost us a lot of money. And they work on it, right? I give them their credit. They're working on great things, but it's really good. And so if you're the type of person that once they do a list that nobody else in Deal Machine is doing, like, I mean, there's a lot of people who use Deal Machine, but what percentage of them are actually going after the deceased type probate list? I would venture to say only 2% even know they have a probate section. And so it's a great niched out list that really nobody else in your market's doing.
Absolutely. So I'll say, as we go through all this as well, like you said, hey, we're always listening, always reinvesting in our data types. So, this is something that even compared to 6 months ago, we've added hundreds of different filters. So we're always doubling down, always, trying to bring you guys the best and latest. So there we go, man. Great start. I love
We got the probates. They're great. The next one is going to be zombie properties. Mm-hmm. And again, I call it a sexy name. But what it really is, basically, it's going to be a zombie property. Basically, it's an ugly house, right? Like, that is what a zombie property, like the name of it, indicates. But really, the way that you guys kind of do it is basically like a vacant. You call it a foreclosure. It's going to be a pre-foreclosure, though, right? Like, really, what the zombie property is, because mm-hmm. if it gets foreclosed, then technically they don't have the title, right? So it's going to be a property that's vacant, that's a foreclosure in a pre-foreclosure. So basically, the bank gives a letter. They said, I can't deal with this, and they leave it, right? Yep. Or they own another house and they can't afford the payments anymore. Or personally, my favorite, and this is why you guys should be pulling this list, is, hey, I just inherited grandma's house. I didn't realize grandma has a $2,000 a month mortgage, and now I'm behind 4 payments because I'm so distraught. Grandma died that she's been dead for 4 months. No one's been paying the mortgage, and now she's getting foreclosed and no one lives in it, right? It's crazy. And we go back to data, right? And a lot of people think Deal Machine's like this magic company that does all this in these softwares. They're not. And so what Deal Machine does specifically for vacants is they don't go and knock on every single house and say, is there someone there or not? They basically get the data from the United States Postal Service. And basically, I believe in 6 or 7 days, maybe 8, anywhere in the United States, if no one picks up the mail, then they just put a vacant tab on there. And companies like Deal Machine, I don't know how you do it, because back in the day you had to only be a nonprofit. You can get that data. And so they're basically finding pre-foreclosures, and they're finding people from the postal service that isn't picking up their mail, and that's how they're doing it. And so the data works really well because the postal service is really good, and it's getting from the county. And so this is technically a stacked list on top of it too. But I'm just trying to explain this to everyone, because you see zombie properties, and if you don't know what you're getting into, like, you're not going to be able to market it. It's a great list. It's definitely a small list though. It's not large, and that's why it's niche.
So I backed out here to show you guys an example. So we started at the zip code level, right? I backed out to show you all of Albuquerque and to show you exactly how niche this is. Went into quick filters here and pulled up zombie properties, which again, the tooltip defines it right here as properties that are vacant because foreclosure has started, but it's not completed, leaving the property in a state of limbo. We're up to 17 properties in Albuquerque that fit that list.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, so it's not a lot. Probate, even I backed out since within that zip code it was a small list. Within all of Albuquerque, it was let's see here, 77 properties. So you can see that in real time work and show you, hey, based on these niche lists, again, they're highly motivated. You need to know how to talk to those individuals, but you've got a great opportunity here to find a list that other people aren't thinking about. So it's
great. I love it too. And then when you're driving for dollars and you find that house you can't just get a hold of, use that PI tool. Mm-hmm. One thing we'll talk about, in the future, kind of when you got that big announcement coming up for a Deal Machine, that PI tool. Like, I personally believe you drive for dollars, you get like 100 leads, right? And you can only get in contact with 40 of them. There's 60 left. You text them, right? Let's say there's 30 properties out of that 100. You've called, texted them, whatever. You can't get a hold of them. If you're the type of individual, and let's talk about niche lists for a second, right? If you're the type of individual that uses the PI tool and goes after those 30, you got to remember, Matt, John, David, Dan, like Emily, right? They all tried to go after, Amelia over here, but no one's been able to get to her. If you can use that PI tool inside a Deal Machine, you're getting a lead that nobody else has got. That's why I say do the sticky notes. But like, guys, when we're talking about niche lists, when everyone and their mom complains to me that, oh, you're the 10th caller, everyone calls the same list. You got to start going after this. And the reason why we have these niche lists, you've probably never pulled this list. So do it. It's right there.
Absolutely. Love it. And then that, like you said, a lot of people are going to stop at that barrier. They're going to stop digging. Like, hey, now you've got technology to go that layer deeper and get past that barrier where others can't. So
awesome. So let's see here. Let's go to the next one here, which is going to be kind of a more... I'd say it's the more common of the lists. And the reason why I still call it a niche list, because I don't think people market to a pre-foreclosure correctly. I'll be honest with you, people who there's a lot of softwares, right? They'll use another software, or they'll use this one, right? They'll just click the pre-foreclosure list, not filter it out, and just cold call them. And then cry to me that they didn't get any results, right? And a lot of people inside a Deal Machine do this too, and it drives me crazy. Half the battle is not even getting a pre-foreclosure. Half the battle is filtering out the right way. And that's the thing that drives me crazy. And so like a pre-foreclosure in Albuquerque, like if you pull that list and text it, it's going to suck. Just being honest, you got to get the right type of property, right? And so, you can pull that list, but we got to get some good filters on this, man. I think it's a big thing we got to do here.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's where I know you mentioned like stacking the list. I'm excited to get into that because that's where a lot of the magic comes in, right?
So let's talk about, like, obviously you are a wholesaler and you do deals, and so the way that you filter it is going to be a little different than the way I'm going to filter it in St. Louis, right?
Yeah,
because I'm doing virtual, right? I need to get kind of easier deals. You can kind of get it going, and so let's kind of go over your method of doing it too, and I'm going to go over my method, obviously. So if you were going to be in this market, right, let's call it St. Louis and Albuquerque, what kind of filters are you going to do on a pre-foreclosure?
Yeah, really in general, how I start off with, there's kind of two buckets to think about on when you're filtering. Once you pick your area, you've got Albuquerque right here. And I've just typed that in the filter up top, and I've got, 174,000 properties in Albuquerque. And then I picked a property type, so single family right here. But we've got hundreds of property types too. We have people using it for land and mobile homes and condos, all kinds of crazy stuff. once you have those two things there, the next layer down is the two buckets I'm talking about. So one of them would be the seller motivation. So for example, pre-foreclosure would be one of them. It's a situation that the seller is going through, something that makes them more likely to sell sooner than later, a problem that you can solve. Like that's the whole goal as a wholesaler, is to come in, identify people with problems that you can come in and solve and help them move quickly and conveniently and as is, and offer all these different, these different things that they wouldn't normally have access to. So the seller motivation, that's one piece of it. And then the other side is we really talk about the property characteristics or the buy box around that house itself. So one thing that's really awesome in Deal Machine, this kind of ... up here, Zach, I don't even know if you knew this necessarily, but we have a saved search button. So if you say you come up with a great formula here of everything that you're going to be doing for your buy box, you can then save that search. And so, for example, in my own business, I go to my saved searches, I go to my buy box right here and apply that. And you'll see, hey, I've got some filters on here around off market. So I'm looking for properties that are off market, not listed. I've got properties that are high equity. So I come in here and I look for properties that have some meat on the bone that can really come in, and you're looking for properties that, again, you've got you're able to pay off their loan before you actually and the numbers still make sense. So high equity really helps. I've actually got a cap on the estimated value, which you can really play with that as well. That's just for my St. Louis market. And then I've even got things that, and this is actually a big pro tip I wanted to share with you guys. Inside Deal Machine, we've got things like, hey, year built. If it's a little bit older, then hey, more likely to be needing some updating, more likely to be run down, more likely to need some TLC. And this building condition code, man, this is something, I don't know if you've messed with this yourself.
Oh yeah.
It's surprisingly accurate inside Deal Machine, where if a property is in fair, poor, unsound, like a worse condition, it's a great way to just kind of filter out those properties that you're pulling up and saying, hey, yeah, they might be older, they might be in worse condition. So if I've got all of these things right here, I would start there and then layer on that top filter. Like we talk about pre-foreclosures. Let's see what comes up here. Probably be pretty narrow. There you go, 29 properties rather than 3.
It's a small zip code, right? Like that's a small zip code, man. Like if we kind of did a larger area, you're going to get a lot bigger, right? So if you just did all of Albuquerque, it'd be a lot bigger there. I like what you did on the building. I love it, man. I don't do that because I'm in Florida mostly. And so when I look at a Florida deal, I have houses I wholesale built in 2015 that should be excellent, but the builder's so bad, foundation issues, leaky roof from a bad builder, that it's technically excellent, but it's just in just disarray, right? And so
for sure,
I'm not too crazy on that when it comes to a pre-foreclosure. And so, but honestly, I like how you did your filtering on a pre-foreclosure, because you don't want to get too niched out specific. And so, for example, if I'm watching this, when we're talking about pulling pre-foreclosure specifically, and I'm just getting into it on every list because you guys need to know this, you shouldn't go nuts on the filtering, because a pre-foreclosure can be anything. It's like a stem cell, because that thing could be a creative finance deal. That thing could be a $120,000 probate. You just want to get the list and see what's up with it. The only thing I don't like of the pre-foreclosure is if like the owners own more than 5 houses. I hate that. And I honestly hate if the property's worth like $2 million. Anything outside of that, I'm all for it, because they're behind on the payments. And specifically, you can pull the list, but I care more about if you're texting them or putting a sticky note. I personally don't like calling them, but you still need their phone numbers there if you're going from there. And so, yeah, you guys do have the upcoming auctions one.
Yeah, it's new.
That is a funny one. If you are in California, I would probably add a niche list called only upcoming auctions, because in a state like California, I've seen this happen on deals that we JV on. You can stop the foreclosure like the day of with the right title company and lawyer. You can write the contract the day before the auction's supposed to be done, and get it extended and wholesale the deal, right? And so stuff like that's like, no one talks about this stuff. But like if you're in excuse my language, like a state that is very pro renter, you can kind of read between the lines on that. There's legislators in city town halls that they're like, you are actually allowed to extend it past the auction date. Florida don't mess with that. Georgia, Tennessee won't do that. Missouri doesn't do that too much either, but like there's certain state like Oregon very good at doing that, where you can extend it like crazy. And I'm not for any party on this. I'm just for wholesaling, and that is something you can do. And so I don't think anyone really mentions that too much. I've done deals like it, but upcoming auctions, lock it up, and then you can extend it. That's another thing. I don't know if I get in trouble for saying that, but it's a decent method.
Absolutely, man. And really that, what I was just showing you guys there, again, you don't want to get too crazy with the overall filters, but when it comes down to like, hey, how do you kind of narrow down that list a little bit there, have that buy box. And then the great thing too is like in St. Louis, especially, like, yeah, you're going to miss out on some deals when you have that specific of a list. But hey, if you're out there and you're in the field every day, you combine this with driving for dollars. You combine this with reverse D for D. When you pull this list, when you go to the bottom here and hit build list, and it only takes a few seconds, that 345 properties that I have right there, I can then go in and say, hey, give me a guided route to every single one of those properties. You can hit the drive this list button in Deal Machine, and that's where you can reverse D for D the whole thing as quick as possible, leave sticky notes, and continue to build your list while you're driving around because you're D for D'ing while you're doing this. So that's the beautiful thing, is like, use all this data, build a great list, but also take action on it through things like reverse D for D and, driving for dollars while you're out there. So
awesome. And another really cool part about this, that this is my last honorable mention, we're gonna get to it. You can, let's say, remove basically the filtering of a pre-foreclosure, add your buy box, so the 750K or below with that build quality. Remove the pre-foreclosure and just add cash buyer. Boom. You just have a list now of every single cash buyer that buys ugly houses built after 1980 or before, right?
In that buy box.
And you gotta remember that if your buy box is 3 2s or 4 2s or 2 1s in this area that are in this price range, just click cash buyer instead, and now you have a list of buyers to call. And change, like, for people that complain about, I don't have no buyers for my deal, I'm like, what's the deal? They're like, oh, it's a high equity list, this, and this. I'm like, go ahead. I get people say, Zach, no one buys 5-bedroom houses for cash buyers. I said, go to Deal Machine, go to 5-bedroom houses that are below 500 grand, click cash buyer, and call those people up in the city. It's a list of people buying those houses for cash. And here's my favorite thing for cash buyers. I've been on a big rampage on this lately, but you don't have a cash buyer unless they have bought in at least 2 houses for cash in the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And guess what you do in Deal Machine? You can filter it specifically. It's kind of, I will be honest, it's a little more complicated if you're used to just like any other random software, but it's niched out specifically like this. No software really does this. You can find the cash buyer and just see this person has owned more than 2 houses. They've purchased more than 2 houses in the past 2 years, right? Because you can add, do and or statements. It's a little more complicated. I can pull it. You can pull it, right? But you can basically niche it out so much where it's a guy that owns multiple properties. He's bought at least 2 houses in the past 2 years for all cash, and they currently still own multiple houses. You're calling people that actually own real estate. You're not going to call Todd that owns 0 houses, that's a student of a guru program who's going to JV your deal, right? These are actual homeowners that own multiple properties. And it's an LLC, but you still get the skip tracing.
Yeah. I mean, you can go in there, and again, if you want to share my screen really quickly here, Zach, when you go into the more filters, so again, you've got quick filters, property price, bed bath. This more filter, you can come in here, and this is where you can really dig in and find these very niche, data points. Like, hey, if I type in owner, I can go and say owner has multiple properties. I can actually specify how many properties they own. I can put if they're corporate owned or not. So if they put it in LLC or not.
The secret's the sales date on there that I found.
Yeah.
And so
owner's a house flipper. Yeah, that'll tell you like the transaction dates. That's based on that last sale date right here.
Yeah, so it doesn't show up as like cash buyer one. So like it doesn't come out on you. But like I like going to sales and then just seeing when the sale date was, and then add the owner information. Like you got to combine them, right. But no one else in Deal Machine is doing this. You just got to like combine them, and it creates a special, what I call niche list.
Love that. Great tip, man.
I love it, man. That's why I like Deal Machine on there, because you can get very specific. Also, I don't like this too much. You have demographic information. I haven't found it's been like a complete killer. I make people who have lower net worths or their marital status, right? It's cool that the data has that, which is cool if you go in the appointment, because it does help you. For example, if you're talking with a Josie Wallen, and you just want to see if she has a husband or not, it'll say marital status, and it kind of helps you in the appointment, right? Stuff like that does work out pretty well. Even religion, you can get on there. It's nuts. Some of these, what you can get on stuff. But I always tell people, go on someone's Facebook, and you'll see more about them than anything else. Like, I went an appointment once. I looked at the guy's Facebook, and he was a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I studied up on the Steelers the last couple games, and we had a nice talk. It just helps.
Absolutely. So that's what it's for. It's that due diligence of how do you build rapport with that person. Not necessarily sell them, but like build, people do business with who they know, like, and trust, right? So come in and know more about that individual so you can ask great questions and bond about a variety of things. So
perfect. And so let's do number 7 here. This is going to be the high equity one. Now, this is going to be the one that is technically the best list, but also the worst list if you don't know what you're doing. And I put it number 7 because it's not niched out, but the filtering that we do is going to be niched out. Now, I think you would agree that most people, when they get a high equity list, they just click high equity and then go to town. And it stresses me out. It makes me really upset when people do that because you're losing out on so many deals. And so if you look at wholesaling, and I think about wholesaling a lot, and after doing every single deal, every single wholesaling deal I've done this year that's been over $50,000 or more has had high equity. I've never had someone who had low equity and I made equity out of thin air. Subject to lease options, owner financing, yes, I can sell those, but we're talking about wholesaling real estate specifically, right? If a guy owes 100 grand and the house a buyer is the most he's willing to buy it for is 120 grand, you're not making 50 grand. 0% chance of doing that. So you can find deals that you're going to make over 50 grand on with the high equity list. And so this is a great one. You have to be niched out on it, but it works out really well. And so the way we're going to do this the way that I do it, because I think it's the best way in my opinion.
Yeah.
But let's do a big one. I kind of want to scare people here. So let's do high equity. Let's do Orange County, Florida. Let's do a big market, and let's scare the snot out of people and just show you what you can do. So also FYI, the way Deal Machine does it, it's like Orange, Florida, and it says county. Just make sure you look at that because it's a little weird when you're starting out with it. So it'll say Orange, but it's had county next to it. And so what you want to basically do is go straight into I got to move it. Property type, single family. And so I'll show you how to do this there. Let's move us over.
Be a big list. Here we go.
Yeah, it's gonna be how many people are on that data set? That's let's see what we got here.
Will be a lot. I'll say you are right that here you go, 310,000.
So let's keep that number and let's show like the difference between what filtering down does. And so in Orange County, Florida, there's 310,000 properties to wholesale theoretically. But really, how many of these can we actually make a lot of money on? And so let's kind of go to the more tab here, and let's keep that 310K, and let's go to the equity section, and let's do 55%. I think it's generous.
55 or more.
Yeah, and so just showing you what you have to do is greater than or equal to, and you can do 55, and let's see what it does there. Just in general, that's going to push it to.
See here. And you are right. It's a tried and true method, but it's, it should be a baseline. It should be a piece of what you're doing. Here you go.
So 219,000, which fills out even more, which honestly isn't even that big of it. So the one thing also here you have to do is you have to click and. Don't click or, click and.
And then like you said, or is going to be if it's this or that, so it's going to grow the size of your list, and is going to say if it's this and that, so it's going to shrink the size of your list, get you more targeted, a stacked list, right? So
and so click and let's just filter this sucker up even more. And so there's so much we can get down on this. So let's go through contact information. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything on here. Yeah, this is going to be all the demographics information. I don't really need too much of it, but the one thing I do like is number of owned properties. So we want to just make sure they own. I want to make sure that they own basically less than 4, and so it's equal to or less to 4. Honestly, once you start owning 5 properties, this is not going to be like a massive high equity. I've done deals like this. Talking about more. Let's see what this filters out to. This comes down to 190. Okay, not too bad. That's going to eliminate most hedge funds. All right, and so we're going to click and. And then we're going to just get more. And now this isn't. Remember, Orange County is big, and so I'm just showing you in Albuquerque it's going to be crazier. And so let's go to owner type. And then what I want to do here is just eliminate corporate owned. So make sure there's no corporations owning it.
So not corporate owned right here.
Yep, not corporate owned. Confirm. All right, good. And then let's
see what we get here.
Yeah, let's just keep hammering this down. Get to her on the bottom. All right, and then property characteristics. We already have single family, so I don't really get too crazy on that. Yeah. So I at this point I don't mind any property because it's Orange County, so they can be really old. Now, as you can see here, you can get crazy on the data.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't really care.
Yeah, we've had people. I mean, even when it comes to the data, I mean, we've had people do, for example, targeting like seniors looking to downsize. So you could do like, senior owned, and it's got 2 stories, or it's got 5,000 square feet. Things that are really, really specific that way. But those are again a niche list.
People talk about that. I've never felt comfortable. I don't know why. Maybe I'm such a morally high person. I don't go after people based on age. I never thought that was always a good idea. I always go after basically need, never age. I don't want an SEC investigation on me. I always get worried about that, right? But if they're older and they're basically a tired landlord, they're going to be on there. The next part here is going to be MLS info. We want to make sure it's off market. Now, that's just the way I do it. But basically, market status, make sure it's off market. Now, there's like quick list options, but like I'm kind of a control freak, making sure that the list is perfect. And it, in my opinion, makes me feel comfortable if I'm dropping 15, 20 grand on direct mail. I make sure it's all good and press and again.
Yep.
All right. See how many we're at now on this.
164.
164. Not bad. Not bad. All right. So next here, we're just going to keep going down. Let's see here.
Oops. Hold on a second.
All right. Click that. All right. Good. Sale history too. We want to make sure, in my opinion, I like to make sure that the property's last sale date was before 2020. I like at least 3 years. So let's say make sure they bought it before 2022 or 2021. That's what I like. And so before. And so you can quickly do that one. At least 3 years. Some people like 5. If I want to filter this thing down really low, I'm going to do 5 years. It's kind of crazy. 2021 was 3 years ago, but whatever. But yeah, press and so you'll make sure they owned it for a little bit too. All right, let's go to the next part here. All right, let's see. All right, and then basically I think we go back to property information and just get the value. I think that'll be the last part.
So you went to price right here?
Yeah, price right there, and just make sure the max of it's going to be probably, let's do 420, 410. Let's do 410. 410,000. Make sure the minimum is 50 grand because it's Orange County. All right, and officially on that, I think 131, right?
Let's see, 45K.
And so that's insane, right? And a lot of properties in Orange County are going to be more than that. But when I'm talking about wholesaling deals with higher equity, that's what we got to go after. And so we just filter down 310 to 45K.
Yep,
that's pretty good. Now, you might be like, Zach, that's way too much. I'm not going to do more. Like, if I was doing that, I'm going to skip out some leads. Like, for example, I'm going to just take Kissimmee out of it. Like, I don't want to deal with Kissimmee. There's some of those cities I just don't want to deal with. You can actually exclude zip codes out of a list like that, and you can do a bunch of stuff. But from there, I'm not doing Orange County. I'm just going to save that search and then add that to individual zip codes. And so let's do this. Can you save that filter list?
Yep.
And let's add that to individual zip codes now. So put a zip code in the comments, and I'll show you basically how that works. And so that's just if I had to do that every single time, I'd go crazy, honestly. So that's just Zach Ginn's like high equity, crazy list. But it makes me feel good to do it, so it works well for me. So let's get a zip code. Let me just use one of the ones that someone's already done here. 74115.
And here, so really quick, this top right corner is where you save that search. So you save that search, and then we can actually, we can clear this whole thing just to show you. But what is the zip code? 74115. So 74115. Oklahoma. Whoops. Hold on. Sorry about that. Let me try that one more time. 74115. Here we go. And so you've got 9,625 properties, and we take this save search, go to the top here. Here's the criteria, which you can rename it. What did you want to name it here?
Zach in high equity. You can do it. You can put whatever you want on there.
Zach Ginn's high equity list. There we go. Love it. So you put in that, and now anytime we apply that, now we're down to 2,640 properties that fit that exact criteria. Perfect. All of the filtering ready to go.
And so that, I mean, you probably have to, in Oklahoma, you got to reduce probably the property value a little bit. But outside of that, you're good to go. Like, I mean, it makes your life a lot easier when you're doing stuff like that. And you can do like less than 10,000, 2,000, you can filter it down more. But high equity is powerful. You just got to know how to filter it down the right way. Because if you don't, you're going to get killed.
Yep. I mean, this is phenomenal, man. This is a great place to start for anybody looking at just baseline. Like, hey, you can continue to layer from here, but if you just start with this, like, you are way beyond what most people are going to be really doing here. So
yeah, and obviously, when everyone knows, so we have the safe search there, and so we're probably for the next 6 ones we're going to use most of that safe search criteria because not much needs to change, right? Single family within that price range, like that's just a general one, then we can add more. So let's kind of do the next one here, which is going to be liens. Now I'll tell you, there's not one software that is better on liens than dmzach.com I found right now. So if you just want to, let's use this zip code really quick. Like show how many liens you guys can pull on this. It's crazy.
It really, hold on, it really is. Is this something? So if you go in here and again, hit that and filter, not the or, because it's the and means it fits everything. So you click on that more button, you go to and then if you search lien right here, LIEN, you can just go broadly. Is there a lien period? So you could say, hey, is there an active lien? Yes. Confirm that. Let's see what we get down to here, 176. Or if you want to get really hyper specific, you can go in and you saw when I searched lien, there's lien document type. I mean, there is a crazy amount you can deal with here, Zach. I don't know if do you have any like favorites on this? I mean, we have so many, but
so in Oklahoma, I like state tax lien.
Okay.
So those are people that did not pay their state. Now there's federal tax and there's state taxes. That's big. That's pretty cool. Now you also have in there, it's called a federal tax lien. That's pretty cool too. Sometimes it doesn't add it in some states. Obviously, it's pulling it, but like federal tax can be basically anything with IRS associated with it. Again, it's a smaller market, and some markets don't. I'll be honest with you, some markets don't work. If you just do active lien, it'll be on there. Now I'll tell you, I just like for that market active lien because it gets hard sometimes for Deal Machine to like be able to pull this because if it's, for example, Bank of America can put a lien on your house because you didn't pay the mortgage. You didn't pay your credit card right. Like it could be anything. Maybe you didn't pay your student loans. Like it's hard to figure it out. From what I can tell is it's going to be the lien amount. And so if the lien amount is like less than $1,000, it's going to be credit card. If it's going to be for $100,000, it's going to be a mortgage, right? And that's one thing you can basically look up when you see a lead like that. It'll help you a lot. But just put active lien. Like for example, here for 176, that I just market the entire thing.
Yep.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, you've got all the rest of the baseline data. They're high equity. They haven't sold for 3 years. They're off market. They aren't owned by a corporation, and they're owned by somebody who has less than 4 properties. Like, that's a great. I mean,
now the one thing I would take off there is probably bought in the last 3 years. That's the only thing I would take off just to see if that does a big change. That does change it because maybe they just bought it, but there's now a new lien on it. That's kind of cool. But like that's the only thing I would do outside of that. Yeah, I mean, the more data you get, the easier it's going to be. But yeah, you got to look at Oklahoma. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. I'm just being honest. It's harder for them to do that. But if you do all of Oklahoma City or something, you'll pop it up pretty simple. But yeah,
good stuff.
So those are liens. I love liens, man. It's very important that Deal Machine's basically able to make a difference between mortgages and liens because those are positions on properties. But the only lien, FYI, guys, I will remove is going to be mechanics liens. Mechanics liens, I've never found anything good from them. But you can kind of look in there and see from there. All right. So
Yep.
let's go here to number 5. This is a good one, tax delinquencies. Now, in the beginning of the year, in the end of the year, where are we at here? In the beginning, here it is. In the beginning of the year and the end of the year, taxes are due on every single property. And there's a lot of people that can't afford to pay the property tax, which is thousands of dollars. And you can get a list of people that don't have a lien. For example, you could have done tax lien, and those are people not paying their property taxes, which is going to be different than tax delinquency, right? So a tax delinquency is when you just don't pay your property tax, maybe a year or two. Now, if you didn't pay for it for 3 or 4 years, then the state puts a lien on it. Sometimes they'll go and auction off the property, right? But what I'll tell you is tax delinquency is my favorite one because it'll tell you right when the person didn't pay the taxes. And there's a due date. And though you're getting that before it turns into a lien, and so you're pretty fast on the motivation there. And so it's a pretty simple list to pull on here too.
Yeah, I mean, and I saw a few people in the comments. This is all through dmzac.com. And again, as we, if you jumped on here, before or after the start of this, anybody who wants to do this alongside with us at dmzac.com, that gives you 7 days free to be able to go in and try this stuff out. Everybody who starts that trial today and tries this stuff out with us is going to enter into a giveaway, and we're going to give away a year of it for free. So I saw a few comments in there. Just wanted to answer that. I'll say on the tax delinquency side, 100%, like it's just another one of those problems. It's showing that, hey, there's this property is a burden on them. They either can't keep up with it, don't want to keep up with it. Like it's just a great indicator that you can come in and solve that problem for them and offer, helping them move quickly, conveniently, as is. Everything we bring to the table is a wholesaler, right? So what it looks like on here. So if we want to remove here, let's clear out these filters again and go back to your you want to put your high equity list on here again, man?
Yeah, put that back on there. Just do it right there. Perfect.
And then do the tax delinquent.
Yeah.
So scroll down. Under quick filters, tax delinquent right here, behind on taxes. Click on that. Let's see, 375. There you go.
Simple. Easy. Great. And it hits it right there. Like I'm speaking on, like we can go into 30 minutes on tax delinquencies, but like there shouldn't be a big conversation, right? I'll mention on my live streams, like, hey, pull the tax delinquency list. Boom, it's right there. And so the next one, which I'm kind of big on the filtering too, is going to be the vacant houses. Mm-hmm. Again, I kind of said it before, but basically people that aren't picking up their mail, this is that list. So if you're not picking up your mail, then the United States Postal Service is going to put a vacant slip on the property. And no one's living in the house, which means no one's living it. Maybe they want to cash their house, or maybe someone's not taking care of it. This is the essence of an ugly house. And it's pretty easy for Deal Machine to pull this there. And so it's again, you can do a quick list, but also you can go inside of the specific filters and do it too. If you want to add your own thing on there.
Yep. So you can say USPS vacant, like you said here, equal to yes. So is it vacant? Let's see what we get here. 83. 83. Perfect. With the filter, all good. Love that. And again, once you have that 83, you said build list right here. Click confirm build. It's going to pull in my Deal Machine account, and then you're off to the races there. So
simple. All right, perfect. And then number 3 here is going to be a big one. I'm kind of calling it, the secret lists. And what I mean by this is these are going to be lists that you've probably never heard of before when it comes to pulling any data. And that's the point. Now, number 3, this is kind of a highly experimental list. What I mean by this is going to be a list that's going to be kind of weird. But I call it a secret. I'm trying to get a good name for it. So let me go into Deal Machine here, and I can show you, once you go into Deal Machine, you can start pulling a bunch of crazy different lists and adding different filters on it. And so, for example, here we can go into basically the More tab and just start going crazy on any filter possible. And so,
do you want high equity again?
So go to let's see, what can we do? Just do Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Let's just do a bigger one, and we can start going nuts on just crazy types of properties. So, for example, here, let me go here.
Detroit. Hold on. Make sure I'm spelling this right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Detroit, Michigan. Awesome. And I'll exit out of this Oklahoma one too.
So it's going to be a big one. I mean, how many is in there? Let's see.
And I have your high equity filter on. Do you want that on or off?
Yeah, turn it off.
Okay. This is gonna be a big.
And it's gonna be a big list, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Got no filters on except for Detroit. Here we go.
371, and so that's cool. So if you go to, like, for example, go to the liens really quick, and you can do, those state ones, those federal ones, but like also like there's some very specific ones that no one really talks about. And so like a violation lien, that can be from code enforcement, right? That can be from really anything. You're gonna have to look up the property and really know it. What I like is it's kind of also go to O, ordinance lien.
Okay.
And you get ordinance liens too. And so confirm that. It might be experimental. Let's see if it's gonna have anything in Michigan.
Let's see.
Now remember, this is for the entire country, so sometimes the APIs don't add up. Let's see if it has anything on there.
It's based on county data.
Okay, so the county data is not going to add that on. So let's go here. You can do another one. Let me pop it up here. I like judgment injunctions work too, but let's do a Detroit one. Do HOA lien. I like those. And remember, sometimes they don't add up. Like in Florida, these things work really well. We also do this. Let's see.
Oh, hold on. We're getting some results here, I think.
Let's see. There's a lot of HOAs there. Right? So it's a very, like, nobody talks about HOA type liens, but you get people not paying their HOA bills that literally have a lien. And what I'll tell you from my experience on HOAs is they're very aggressive on getting their payments. Like, they're super aggressive. And so that's a list of 4,000 properties you've probably never heard of or probably never even thought of. Now, I want to filter that down a lot more. Like, I want to make sure there's equity. I want to make sure they own it for a little bit, right? But HOA liens, man, like, that's just...
That's so in our own business, for example, it was out in like kind of Baldwin-ish area, but we had an HOA lien. It was, we was turn on active liens in general. One appointment we went on about 3 weeks ago, it was an HOA lien. It's something that these HOAs, like you said, it can be pretty liberal handing out liens. Like, it's something that can you can see right here, triggered for 4,000 properties. So, it's one that's, I would say, newer that most people don't have access to. That is just a great indicator that they don't want to deal with this anymore. So
well, let's do another one. You probably know this, but most people don't know this. There's I'm not waiting for this one, but I have been experimenting with this, and it's worked very well for me. Technically, it's one list I talked about that no one really, like, they hear it and they roll their eyes and then they don't do it, and it drives me crazy. And I believe in my mind it's because it's hard to pull, but I've kind of reverse engineered these. And so let's talk about arrest records. I've done a lot of arrest record deals, and every single time someone gets arrested, they have to post bond, right? And when you post bond, this is crazy. Think about this. The bail bondsman, he puts a lien on the guy's house in case he, skips town, right? Guess what? Deal Machine has a bond lien. Now, and most people don't know that, right? So if you go to Deal Machine and go to bond lien, it's in there. It's crazy. Now, is it the best? No, because some bond liens come up as like judgment liens, because a lawyer will pop it up. So this is county specific. I don't think Detroit, I don't think they're going to have it.
Let's see.
But I want everybody in the market to kind of look at it. But sometimes it pops a bail bondsman, like, hey, I'm a bail bondsman, I'll do it. Sometimes it comes up as a judgment lien, economic lien. You got 4,000 there. And so is that, no, you got to get rid of all those.
Yeah, I don't think it added any more for bond, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think it added anything for bond. So just make sure you look on like your county. But if the bond lien does work for you, I mean, there's 3,000 counties to be doing. Go look at it. But it is, why am I calling it a secret list, right? Because it's out there, right? It's out there. But these are things you should be looking at minimum, because they work pretty good. I'll tell you, assessment lien, those are sometimes in the HOA liens, right? Yeah, and so I'm calling it secret list because it's out of the ordinary, right? You can do type of equities too. And for example, you can do people who have really crazy mortgages. And so for example, you can go to first mortgage and go by mortgage types or interest rates. And you can go after people who have really bad mortgages and to see if they're looking to sell their property, or do creative financing with them too. Those are other ones you can do. Let's see here.
So loan type, here you go. You got all kinds of to choose from.
Yeah,
we did get
and
one assessment lien there, but
okay. And so you can also look at the loan type. Think about this for a second. And so let's go to loan type here, and you can get assumptions. You can get people getting cash loans. Like, I mean, just let's go through the whole list really quick, right? Assumptions, decent one. Standalone, you can do ARMs, which are, you don't want to do creative financing on an adjustable rate mortgage. But keep going down on this, right? You have a lot of crazy ones. Cash loan, credit line loans. I like that. Some people do take HELOCs, so I'm not like crazy here. Unidentified are interesting ones. Seller take back. Unknown is an interesting one. I know people that do the unknown equity type list, unknown mortgages. They're out there, but when you're trying to get a specific type of deal, or you're trying to get a deal that no one else is doing, it can work. And then if people have liens that don't work out, it's just an interesting list to be pulling. And it's just, I'm calling it secret because it's out there. It's niched out. It's very, very niched out. But yeah, see here. We go
that's
here.
12,000 of these in Detroit that are either assumption, credit line, or unknown.
Perfect. And then also another one you can do is, this would be the last type of basically special list. Like, for example, like let's use your market, St. Louis. You know the nice area. You probably live in those areas, right? That are nicer, right? You don't live in the bad parts of St. Louis, right? You live in the nice part. And so what I like doing too is you can go in like the nice areas in St. Louis or like the nice areas of Detroit and go after properties that have poor building conditions in really nice areas. That's another one that works really well too. Even this too, I like going after properties built before 1970, 1975, but built after 1940, getting in between that specific range. And you can go after older homes, and the person's owned it for a while too. And so I call it a secret list, but really it's lists that your competition is not pulling. And these aren't lists to be doing direct mail on, but lists to call. You just got to think out of the ordinary, and you can get deals from there. And so, like for example, in Port St. Lucie, I do really good on deals built between 1950 to 2000. Like that's really good. I don't like dealing with deals after that. If I do regular high equity, I'll do it all. But yeah.
Yep. I mean, I love the building condition code. I would check in your market.
SAINT.
Yeah. And then the year built, I like both of those.
And so you're going to see on the east part of Port St. Lucie, there's going to be more of the older homes, and on the left part, there's not going to be much. And so if you can find it through there,
these little blue dots popping up fit that criteria. So you can see on the east side over here.
And so kind of the east side of the river there, I'll tell you, those are good deals right there. If you can get the building conditions poor, it works very well. And so those are my secret list. You know, I can get more into it, but like I like it a lot. And then the extra thing I like doing is I like finding property. Let's go. Where is?
Hey man, you're dropping gems on this.
I'm trying to figure this other part here. Let me see if I can find it. It's not. Is it going to be the property class? Hold on. That's for another day. The commercial aspect on this. It should be on the property information. Let me see if I can find it. Because I have it popped up on mine too. Hold on. There we go. Let's get here. There we go. And the last one, this used to be the biggest guru secret. I've had some success with it. Some people have not. If you go to equity and value and just do equity value unknown, the reason why this has worked in the past a lot, and something that I think everyone should just try out, is everyone's pulling very similar lists in Deal Machine and PropStream and Batch. You know, all these, you know, they're all pulling very similar like lists, but no one's going out. No one even knows what unknown is. And so, for example, like it might not even pop up for Port St. Lucie. It'll probably pop up in Detroit. But if Deal Machine can't figure out what the equity of it is, there's probably a weird mortgage or a weird situation, and it works out. Now, this list used to do really good. Yeah, so this list used to do a lot better when Deal Machine was older and their data was worse, because it was harder to do. Now with your good data, you can find properties like, so I don't want to get in trouble here, but like you can specifically, here, I'm going to take you off, but you can pop up a property and just look at it and say, why is this unknown? And it usually has a weird situation going on with it. And that's a really good list to be going at. So it's called the unknown equity list. It used to be the biggest thing back in the day, like 4 years ago. And I've done a lot of deals from it. It's kind of not been as good. But now that no one's talked about it for a while, it might be a new way. I'm just trying to give my thoughts on it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, these are incredibly creative.
So I call it my secret list. It's something just to try. But yeah, if you have questions, I will answer it. Don't worry. But let's do number 2 here. This is another less sexy list, but man, it's an amazing list. It is the tired landlords list. And now you do tired landlords 2 ways, in my opinion. The 2 ways you can do it is either the Deal Machine way or the non-Deal Machine way. The non-Deal Machine way is better, in my opinion, because Deal Machine hasn't had this yet. I've been trying to tell the owners to be doing this. Maybe they'll go work on it. But basically, you get a list from the county of people filing evictions. And, Matt Camp is evicting his tenant who's been terrible, who hasn't paid in, 3 months. I'm going to call a guy like Matt up and say, hey, Matt, are you looking to sell that house? And obviously, you're a good real estate investor, so you probably won't. But if you're just a regular Joe who is just like sick of it,
he's over it.
Oh my God, I just can get rid of this thing. It's great because he literally filed the eviction. He's going through all this pain. Now, if you use Deal Machine, you're going to also find Matt on there, because what you're going to do is find people that have owned rental properties for a while. And that's going to be someone like Matt or like, David, that they've owned rental properties for a while and they might just want to get rid of it, right? It's a larger list. It's less good in like per 100 calls you make, but still you're going to get deals. There are different ways to do deals. So I just want everyone to understand, when I say tired landlord, I make it a distinct difference between tired landlord list and evictions list. They're 2 different things. Yeah. Motivation is completely different. I like to see on the tired landlords list, is the tired landlord list on Deal Machine also going after age, or is it not? Because I know it switches sometimes.
I can show you the tooltip on here, guys. So really quick, if you go, and what area do you want to show this in, Zach? Do you want me to keep the Port St. Lucie?
Let's do someone's on here. Let's see who has do the 48221.
48221. Let's see here. We've got Michigan. Cool. So, part of Detroit. There we go. Whoops. Hold on. Going all over the place on you guys. So 48221, 18,420 properties. If we want to filter down into single family, great. I always recommend that. 14,290. Now under quick filters, here's that tired landlord filter with the tooltip, again, to define this for you guys. And it'll show you here, hey, properties in which the owner doesn't reside, has owned it for 15 plus years, and they may be interested in selling the rental. So if you go in here, it's not actually pulling in age like that. I will say, when you click on that, what I've even seen is if you're going to call these people, if you're going to reach out and be able to be open to, do that individual deal or even their entire portfolio, I've also even seen it on the flip side of it. And I've had success around even like building my cash buyers list with this, where I'm reaching out to them and I'm either offering to, do an individual house, their whole portfolio, or if they're in the market looking for some, they're not tired there, but they are a landlord. Hey, I've built out kind of it's a way to have a lower barrier conversation and, come in and have this kind of way to you've got multiple ways to provide value to them. I've had also success too, man. If you go on and layer in out of state, I think that's on here. Out of state owners, so out of state tired landlords. That's another way
I love out of state ones.
Yeah, that one's more likely to sell too. But just a pro tip of what I've seen.
Yeah, and then also like even on the probates, when I pull probates specifically, and I'll make this very clear, when I pull probates from the courthouse and I import it into Deal Machine for the skip trace and the call, I don't filter out numbers of property owned. Because if John Smith owned 30 houses and he died, and Sarah Jane in California inherited the house, I want to talk to her, right? And so it's very important that you don't filter out when you import leads. That's another thing too. Another half of this is importing your Driving for Dollars list, importing a government list into Deal Machine. you don't want to, once you get, government lists are so good, you don't want to over filter it from there. When you're pulling inside a deal machine, yes, you need to filter it the right way. But when you pull it from an outside thing, you don't want to touch it. Like for Driving for Dollars, don't filter things out too much unless the property value is too high. We're only importing it really just to get the skip tracing from deal machine and just keeping the CRM type thing in there. Just make sure it's a big difference.
I will say too, like when you zoom in and you start to see these properties highlighted right here, if you're going to drive for dollars, like again, you're looking for physical distress, right? First and foremost, but you can turn on a filter if you'd like. And that way, if you know, hey, I'm driving around and I'm, turn on high equity, for example, here that are single family, and I'm driving and I see it's a rundown house and it's got that highlight on there, I wouldn't not add the leads that are rundown no matter if there's a highlight or not. But if it does have one, you can come in here and tag that property and say, hey, make it higher priority. So that way I know if I've got this big Driving for Dollars list that I just built, where do I start reaching out? Where do I start marketing to? You can go and filter by your high priority tag and start there. So, I'd say kind of a pro tip on the D4D side.
Beautiful. All right. And then number one is going to be kind of one of my favorite ones. Obviously, I've said forever. But these are going to be basically stacked lists, right? So these are going to be lists that are going to be stacked on top of each other. And we kind of did a little bit of that today. For example, like you can get high equities mixed with pre-foreclosures. You can also get a liens list combined with maybe a pre-foreclosure, a liens list with high equity that maybe has an auction date, or you can just add a bunch of things on there. Now, inside a deal machine, you can stack it. It's not like the craziest one. What I love doing though is stacking multiple things on top of it. And so, for example, inside a deal machine, you can do this. I call it a list stacking tool, but basically I can import my evictions list, import my probates.
I love this.
I can import 3 type of lists inside a deal machine.
Yep.
And then in deal machine, it can tell you which ones are duplicates.
Yep.
And it'll basically tell you like, hey, you've pulled in 15 government lists this month. There's 50 right now that all stack on top of each other, or there are multiple that stack. Those are ones that you should do insane things. So you should call each one. You should text each one personally. You should put a voicemail and a sticky note in their house and call their mom. I don't know. But like do it all, right?
You joke about calling the mom, but when you go into the property address, there are associated contacts right there.
You can call the mom.
Scroll through, there'll be family members there too. So we've had success with that where it's a vacant house and we just can't get a hold of that person. And I love the idea of being able to import your list of leads because it's going to auto stack those for you. So that way there's no duplicates in there. And when you pull in, say you D4D and you pulled a list and you pulled in, all those different government lists, the higher the number next to that address is how many times you've added it to deal machine. So you can start there and say, yeah, show me the properties that I've added 10 times. And, oh, awesome. Like, let me do everything I possibly can to get in touch with that individual. So
stack lists it's more of the importing part. That I believe the stack lists work really well. It can be multiple things too. But what I'll tell everyone is, I know, we get in trouble going to the leads tab. But when you kind of go into that leads tab or add it for your lists,
up here,
that's where the real magic is at on it.
We've done pretty well not showing anything today, but
yeah, no, like it works pretty good. So you can actually find the duplicates on there. It does a lot of good things on there. But I love kind of filtering inside the leads tab. It's more at freelisting.com. We'll show you how to do that so we don't get in trouble with it. But you can import leads, and it'll show you which ones come up more than once inside of it. And there's a lot of deals you can get doing that. So they're called stacked lists because if I pull the code violations, I pull the water shutoffs, the probates, I just pull all of them. It's like these ones show up more than once. But that's been inside a deal machine before. That's something you should be doing. So is there any way you can show that inside, or do we got to like explain it? I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble with it.
So if I hit leads, it's going to show the phone numbers. Here, let me
explain it.
Yeah. So essentially, when you're clicking on one, here, don't show this quite yet, though.
Yeah, I won't show
it. When you're clicking on one, let's see if I can get any kind of example here. It's going to be tough to show without sharing.
Yeah, just explain it.
Yeah. Essentially, when you click on an individual address, when you go to the leads tab up in the top corner, It's going to give you a list of all your leads, all your addresses you've saved, and then there'll be just a little number on the left-hand side, and that'll be a circle with a number in it. If you click on that circle, if it's got a number 1, it's going to show you, what list it was a part of. If you click on it and it's got a number 3, it's going to show you all 3 of those lists, and it'll tell you, oh, you imported it as a government list here, then you drove for dollars and you added it here. You just happen to add it, and then you also pulled this other list, inside of a deal machine, and it was on there as well. And so it'll kind of all automatically stack all those every time you add that individual address, and that way you never duplicate your marketing. You only send, you're not marketing them the same thing over and over. And also, again, it's scoring your lead right there. It's showing you the higher the number, the more likely that they are a good lead, because you're tagging all these potential motivations for them. So it's a great place to kind of identify what leads. If I've got 10,000 leads in Deal Machine, well, start with the ones that have the higher list stack number next to it and work your way down.
Beautiful. And guys, that's list stacking. It works really well. But overall, those are the top 7 niche lists. Now, I'm going to ask a lot, Zach, can I do this with this stuff? I'll be honest with you. You can use these niche lists with any software that you want. If it works, right? I'm telling you, this video is just to show you how to do niche lists. Now, pulling aside Deal Machine, because I think that's the best one to be using for these niche lists, because there's no other one where you're going to drive for dollars and have the phone number and just import your driving for dollars with it. So I think that's the ultimate niche list. But I'll talk about that later. But that's kind of the point here, guys. Like, that's what we got to do here. Again, it's very important to import that government list and then stack it from there, and you'll do well. John Constantine's like, there's no mention of code violations. I said in the beginning about code violations. You can't pull code violations in Deal Machine, not yet. Hopefully, Deal Machine will put another, they'll put another millions of dollars in R&D and figure it out. But for now, you got to go to the government. That's why it works, because software just can't pull it right now. It's not a bad thing. No software can pull it. So go pull it, import it inside a Deal Machine, then get stack lists from there.
And you get all the free skip tracing with it, and you can drive your everyone too. So
yeah, stacked list. Remember, YouTube doesn't allow me to do that. If I was allowed to from YouTube, I would already be doing it. Trust me. That's kind of the one problem on here. And let's see here. I
mentioned this as well a couple times, but I know we've had people jumping in here. If you go to that dmzac.com and you try all this stuff out for yourself, in a week from now, everyone who watched this video and again, comment on the video too here, watch the video and start their free trial at dmzac.com. We're going to do a giveaway in a week here where you can win a year free of Deal Machine. So if you want to take action on everything we showed you guys here, it's a 7-day free trial, so it's just free to try it out. But
Christopher says, I know SMS is an ideal way to reach out to pre-foreclosure homeowners, but how do you structure the message? This message is structured in wholesaling.com. There are free real estate wholesaling course, mine, where basically it shows you the double whammy script. So basically using AI, heck, you can even use Deal Machine. I mean, they have their ALMA on there where you can just ask it, hey, make a text based on this format. Just go to wholesaling.com. It's in the free course on how to do it. I'll show you how to do it. Let's see.
Like you said, we've got that Alma AI assistant built in right there for if you're on our pro plan. So when you click on a property, it's the bottom left corner, a little glowing orb. You just click on that, it pulls up the AI assistant, and you can kind of use that to help write your text messages that way.
All right, perfect. Let's get it going. I see a lot of excited people on here. Everyone want to use their zip codes, and so that works pretty well. I will tell people use the cash buyer data on there. It works well. You don't need MLS access. You can use Deal Machine for non-disclosure states. Right. I mean, you basically have it on there. So yeah, Kevin, right? Like you can comp in non-disclosure states with Deal Machine, correct?
Yep.
Simple. I mean, it just comes up as a regular comp. So you'll be surprised if you can do it inside of like Missouri or like Texas, Louisiana. It works pretty well here. Let's see here. And then I think YouTube is crazy with it. One last thing too, we're pretty excited. Deal Machine is coming out with a new feature, which is going to be pretty cool. Don't want to get everyone so excited on it, but this feature is different than the marketing channel. The new feature they're coming out with it's something that does help with my channel. It's kind of a mix for it. It's like if you're running and you need shoes, that does help it a lot. But we are coming out with a new marketing channel on day 9 of the 30-day wholesaling challenge in July. And then on the 1st is going to be when the new Deal Machine announcements coming. So that's gonna be pretty cool. Do I have a link for that for you guys to be watching it?
Yeah. If you do,
so I can't really talk about it too much on there, but here it is.
Yeah, if you've got dealmachine.com/unveiled Zach right there, that's going to be where you can just sign up. It's a free webinar that we're going to announce on the night of July 1st. The last time we did Unveiled is when we announced the free skip tracing. Our goal
is on part of that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so trying to change the industry again on our end tonight for this one. So we're gonna be doing giveaways. We're gonna be, if you show up live, you qualify for those giveaways and a lot more just fun stuff that night. So make sure to sign up then, and we'll hang out.
I do want to mention the new marketing channel coming out with is not coming out on the 1st. It's not coming out on that one. That's not what it's going to be. They're going to show off their feature. They're going to give to everyone else. But the new marketing channel is coming out. You're able to use that feature inside of the marketing channel. And so it's like me if I invented drawing for dollars, and then there's an app you can use for it, right? They're the app, or they're the thing you can use to help. But like it's completely it's pretty cool. And so
you apply it to your method. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're pretty excited about it. So you got to be on the 9th for that one. It's going to be on this channel. So it's going to be extremely exciting. People aren't even going to know when they see the thing what's going to happen. But it's pretty cool. So sign up for that link if you want to check out the webinar. If you're just a DMZag.com customer, just go click on it. If not, just wait, because I'll tell you guys about it on this channel too. No big deal. But we're pumped up for that. In my opinion, that new feature is going to save the average person probably $300 extra a month. Because you think about it, right? What is, I'm not going to announce anything, but it'll probably save you $300, some people $400, some people $1,000 a month, right? Because there's wholesalers that are spending a lot of money on things that should be free. And you know what I like to do? I like giving it out for free. We see gurus pushing this, or own companies that do stuff like this. And what you're going to do is put them out of business. You put the skip tracing gurus out of business. I think you're going to do it for the next type of guru. So we like to promote it. So it's pretty cool. And yeah. So Matt, I appreciate you coming on here. Love talking about these top 7 lists. And guys, get falling on it. Let's get some deals.
Let's do it. And Jonathan, see in the comments, appreciate the shout outs there, man. Are really excited to come hang out on July 1st, and we'll show all the details there. So
all right.
Zach, this has been great, man. The amount of gems that you've dropped throughout this whole thing is ridiculous. So yeah, definitely rewatch this recording, guys.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. This is Zach and signing out. Appreciate Matt for coming on, and we'll see you Thursday. Me and Rick are going to do this in Milan, Italy. That's going to be our last live stream before we head back to the U.S. So we're going to go back and crazy. So I appreciate you guys.